This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pimm Fox. Now, if you've ever seen those containers that are being loaded onto ships in a port or spotted those big boxes on tractor trailers as well as trains, you may be familiar with my next guest's products. Textainer leases those containers to shipping companies all over the world, and business has been good. How good? Well, the stock is up 90% since last year. And here to give us some insight into the current state of business, we have the CEO, John Maccarone. John, good to have you with us on Bloomberg.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
So what is the state of business? I mean, I always use you as a proxy for world trade. How's it going?
It's going extremely well, I must say. All parts of the business, utilization has reached an all-time high of 99%. Demand for containers is very strong. We've had our record year of CapEx for new containers, about $500 million. So can't complain. Everything's going well.
All right. So if you've got this world where containers are at, what, 99% utilization, does that mean that there's got to be a shortage? I mean, where are you going to get the containers built?
There has been a shortage that really developed in 2009 during the recession when all the container factories closed for a year, and the world container fleet actually shrunk by about 4%. Starting this year, demand was strong, but the factories had laid off all of their labor after being closed for a year, and it took them quite a long time to ramp up, and they're still not quite at the normal production levels yet.
Now, just give people some idea of the scale of your company, because you're the largest leaser and manager of these containers, correct?
That's right.
And you've only got, what, 155, 160 employees
That's
to
right.
cover the world.
Exactly. And 14 offices, about just under 160 people.
And you're on the target to, what, produce at least $100 million in the profits for the year?
Through the second quarter, that would give us a run rate of over 100 million. Right?
And is it likely that the company's going to get much bigger in terms of the number of people that it needs to actually execute the strategy?
No, not really. We're just in the budgeting process right now, and I think we have 2 or 3 headcount additions for next year, one of which is in our refrigerated container business, which has been growing very rapidly.
Where are you seeing the demand for those refrigerated containers? Because we've in the past have talked about how the demand for food and the ability to ship food all over the world is causing that to happen.
That's right. Well, we're seeing two things. One is you get more people in the consuming class in developing countries that develop a taste for strawberries in January, fresh food, meat, vegetables, etc. You're seeing an expansion of the refrigerated container business, and also the old-style refrigerator ships are kind of going the way of the dinosaur, and that's all moving to container cargo.
Does this also bode well for intermodal traffic? I mean, when we talk to railroad analysts and trucking experts, they say business is pretty good in the intermodal world.
That's right. The intermodal loadings are up significantly as a result of more cargo entering the United States from Asia. Also, U.S. exports are improving, which is good news for us.
If the exports are improving, is that because we're doing something smarter or better, or is it just because the U.S. dollar is weaker against our competitor trade partners?
I think it's a combination of several things. One, the weaker dollar has helped us. Just as we've seen Europe and especially Germany rebound with the weaker euro, we're also seeing a resurgence in agricultural products that we're very strong in shipping. And I think another part of that, as countries like China get more of a consuming class, they want to buy more of the type of products that we make here and products that are made in Europe.
What about the congestion that you might have experienced at various terminals around the world? We always try to look at where the ships are parked, where they're docked, and waiting to actually load and unload cargoes. Have you seen anything like that?
No, the only places we've seen congestion, India, some congestion, and parts of Africa. But I think the main from what I read, the main ports in Europe and North America are running very smoothly.
What does this mean for shipping rates? Because I know that you're leasing the containers to companies that are going to use them, but then ultimately we like to look at what happens to shipping them on ships across the ocean.
Right. Well, you know that there was a disastrous decline in freight rates during the recession because cargo volumes declined by almost 10% in 2009, which was really the first time in the history of containerization. Cargo was rebounded about a forecast of 11% growth this year. And the shipping lines are managing capacity, so they're not putting too many ships on. They were using the slow steaming to absorb excess tonnage, which, by the way, has been terrific for us because when the ships slow down, it requires about 5 to 7% more containers for the same amount of cargo. So that's been kind of a real boon for our business to have the slow steaming.
Now, I'm going to just take you back to the past a little bit because in looking at your biography, I know that you were once the Army Corps of Engineers, and you were in Thailand, you were in Asia during the Vietnam War. If anyone had told you that Asia would be the way it is now, those 40 years ago, would you believe them?
I wouldn't have believed them. And, in fact, I'm going to Asia in about a week to visit our shipping line customers over there, and it still amazes me every time I go to Shanghai or one of these other growing cities how quickly they're growing and continuing to develop.
Is there a surprise port, a surprise terminal out there that we don't know a lot about right now that's coming online?
Well, I think you should watch Vietnam. Vietnam is a place that a lot of really incredible things are happening there. Hourly wages for low-priced goods are significantly less than China.
All right, I want to thank you very much, John Maccarone, as always, Chief Executive, Textainer Corp., sharing your thoughts about global trade and the container business.